Yeah.
Okay, welcome. And I should say welcome back. Welcome back to the shiur.
There is no home like home.
No home like home.
No place like home.
Ah. Okay. So we are in the portion of Behaalotcha. Yes. Amen. The portion begins with Hashem instructing Aaron, the Kohen, to light the menorah. He says, raise the light. Behaalotcha means to raise. When you raise the light in the lamps of the menorah in the Mishkan, so that were only 7 lights. It's not like the menorah of Hanukkah had 8 because of the miracle, but the menorah in the temple, in the sanctuary, was only 7. In other words, it had a base, and then it had on each side 3.
That's menorah shel Shabbat.
No, that's the menorah that they used to light every single day in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan.
Yeah, but we light all the time menorah shel Shabbat. It's like my grandmother had one.
That doesn't have to be. It could be something else, but it could be singles. But the menorah it was made out of one piece of gold, and it was such amazing. I mean, Moshe said he didn't know how to do it. It was one piece of gold. How do you make the buttons and they were like upside down cups, and there were flowers, and it was like a special.
Melted.
No. It wasn't like put together. It wasn't like you make a piece and you put it together. It was made out of one piece. And he said, how do I do it? And Hashem said, Zeh, te'aseh. In other words, Hashem helped him. Hashem said, throw it into the fire, and sort of Hashem was the one who actually did it. And he showed Moshe exactly how it should be done. And it was some sort of a hammer. They hammer the one piece, and it wasn't welded. Okay, so it had 7 branches altogether, 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, and 1 in the middle. So when it was lit, so each of the flames were facing the middle. Okay, so when it was lit, the 6 outer flames faced towards the center, and it came from the body of the menorah. Now, the whole story, why this is told now, right after last week's portion, because last week's portion we learned about the Nisi'im, the princes all each tribe brought their offerings, right? Their wagons with all the dedication of the Mishkan. And Aharon didn't bring anything. And he said, maybe we're not accepted. The tribe of Levi, that's the Kohanim and the Levim were the tribe of Levi. So he said, so Hashem tells Aaron, go tell Aaron, don't worry, you have an honor that is greater than their dedication and their offerings, because the offerings that they brought last only as long as the temple stands. But the light that you light will always give light. And the Medrash tells us that the light of the menorah, even though it was actually extinguished with the destruction of the Holy Temple. So what did he mean? What does he mean that it lasts forever? So this alludes to the Hanukkah lights. That the Hanukkah lights were from the Second Temple with the miracle of the Hashmonaim, which were the descendants of Aaron. They were the Kohanim, and we still light the Hanukkah lights. So the lights were forever. And this is there's a pasuk in the Tehillim that we say. The translation is, "Nor does darkness obscure for you. The night shines as day, and darkness is as light." We know it as Gam choshech lo yachshich mimcha, v'layla kayom ya'ir b'chashecha ke'ora. So he says that when you raise light in the lamps, it's going to shine. It's going to shine forever. Light up the dark. So this could be compared to a king who had a friend, and the king said to him, "It's okay." And the king said to him, "I want you to know that I'm going to come dine with you." So go make preparations for me. I need a tissue, actually. Give me a napkin. Give me a napkin. Thank you. Okay, so the king says to this friend, I'm going to come dine with you, so go make preparations. So his friend goes and he prepares, like, a common couch and a common candelabra and a common table. That's what he has. And then the king arrives and he comes with ministers on each side and a golden candlestick and who knows what. And he sees all this, pomp and he said he feels ashamed that all he had was, like, so he puts everything away. And everything that he prepared for the king, he hid, he put it away. And the king said to him, "Didn't I tell you that I'm coming to dine with you? Like, why didn't you prepare?" So he says, "Well, I did, but I saw everything that you brought with you and all the people that accompanied you, and I felt ashamed. So I put it all away." So he said, because they were all common utensils, like they weren't, worthy enough, yeah, for the king. So the king says, "Listen, I'm going to set aside all the things that I brought, and because I love you, and I'm going to use yours. Like, I'm not going to use any of mine, but I'm going to use yours." So the same is true. This is the mashal. This is the parable, and the nimshal is that Hashem, He is all light. He doesn't need our light, but He says the light dwells with Him. Right? In Daniel it says, yet He says to us, "Prepare for me a menorah and light it." So in other words, I'm going to use your light, even though Hashem doesn't need our light. Okay, that's the idea. It shows how much He loves us. This is what the Medrash Rabbah says. Um, Generally, when a person builds a house, he makes the windows narrow on the outside and wider on the inside, right? He wants the light to come in, and he wants, like, to light up his house. But when Shlomo HaMelech built the Beit HaMikdash in Yerushalayim, he made the windows narrow on the inside and wide on the outside, so that the light should emanate to the outside and illuminate the world. This is the idea that we are a beacon of light. We are a light to the world. So we didn't need the light inside the Beit HaMikdash. It was a very holy place and it was all lit up. And so the light should go out to the world.
That's nice.
And so we learn that then when Hashem tells Aaron, the first pasuk, when He tells him to light the menorah, He tells him to raise the light and wait till it shalhevet olam me'aleha, until it's, sometimes you're lighting a candle until it catches on the wick. Don't let go until it catches on, until it lights on its own. So Chassidut explains us the spiritual significance. The mitzvah of lighting the menorah is that everyone should be a lamplighter. And it says that Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam, the soul of a man, is the lamp of Hashem, is the light of Hashem. So to be a lamplighter, there used to be dark streets, there was no electricity, and there was a person, that was his job. He would go around and light the street lamps. He would even go in the darkest alleyways, just in case somebody's walking by, and he should have light. And spiritually, it means that a person should light up the souls of another Jew. It doesn't matter where he is, if he's in a dark place or whatever, he should light up. That's a job, is to you help a person, raise them, and wait. Don't let them go until they stand there, they lit on their own. In other words, they need your support until they can do it on their own, and then it's a continuation. So the idea is to kindle the lamp, so the flame rises on its own accord. So when you're teaching somebody, you have to make sure that he is self-sufficient, that is a luminary, that he can continue lighting. And and he glows and shines independently, and in turn he kindles the potential of others. It's like we said, that's what the Lubavitcher Rebbe taught us on this parsha, which is beautiful. Okay, so now so it says like this: when you kindle the lamps, you have to wait till the wick burns properly and the flame rises on its own. So when the Kohen came to kindle the menorah every afternoon in the holy temple, he found them. They were prepared. They prepared them earlier in the day. They were clean. They were filled with oil. There were fresh wicks were put in. All he had to do was light the flame, and it had the potential, right? It had everything. It had the wick. It had all he had to do was illuminate it, like light the lamp until it held it until it lit on its own. It caught on, and so the Rebbe also taught us that don't think that you're achieving anything that your friend or your fellow Jew couldn't achieve on his own. Like, don't think he's so look what I did, like I kindled his soul. Yeah. So in other words, don't think that you're giving him something he doesn't already possess. The soul of everyone is a ready lamp. It's filled with the purest oil, and it's equipped with everything it needs to light. All you have to do is convert this fuel into a blazing flame, just light it. And so sometimes you need someone to help and ignite it. But if your own soul is lit up and it comes in contact with another soul, it will awaken the potential for light. So in other words, that if your soul is lit up, then you can kindle all the souls around you. So the menorah represents the people, the Jewish nation, the people of Israel. And it said, God's light unto the nations. That the Jewish nation consists of 12 tribes, right? So there are different tribes. There are different individuals from all walks of life, all kinds of people, right? But even though we are so different, yet we're all in this one menorah. Like we're all together. And you have 7 candles, like there are 7 intelligences and 7 different kinds of thinking, and there are 7 sfirot, there's different attributes. And so the thing is like this, so the one thing it expresses is the diversity that we have amongst us. And the second one is that how it's lit, and how it was made. It was made out of one piece of gold. So it's not like welded together, because we're all one body. The Jewish nation is all one. It's not that we were, we're separate people. So that was something that's very significant, that even though we are so different, we're all made out of the same source. We all come from the same place.
Our body also is made out of one.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
I'm looking at it, I'm saying, it's funny.
Yeah, so we're all of the same,
By
of a
the way,
single
the cakes are
essence.
delicious. You said no sugar, right?
Where?
In the cakes.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Well, it's very delicious.
Okay. Okay, so even though we said that the menorah sheds its light with 7 lamps, they all have to be turned towards the center stem. So the 7 lights expresses the fact that we said that there are 7 sfirot. Okay, there's the Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut, and at the same time, they all face the body from where they come from, because there's the center, and each how do you stem? They all come from the same stem, okay, and they come out to like extend. So they are facing the center.
Mm.
So again, it emphasizes the same
Like the menorah.
origin and the same goal. So we all come from the same place. We're all oriented towards the same goal, and the differences are only maybe to better express, um, to complete to achieve our goal. Everybody can achieve it in a different way. So it's not differences, but it's different expressions of oneness of Shalagid. The menorah also represents the Torah. The Torah is the source of the divine light in the world. And again, it's something very interesting that I saw.
7 is like the days of the week.
The 7 days of the week, 7,000 years, 7 years of Shemitah.
Yeah.
The menorah had 7 branches. It had 11 knobs, 9 flowers, and 22 goblets. And it was 17 handbreadths in height. Okay. Now I saw very interesting things that Divrei Noam says that they represent the 5 books of Moses, the Chamisha Chomshei Torah. The first verse is in Bereshit, has 7 words. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Okay, that's 7 words. Then the first verse of Shmot has 11 words, and the first verse of Vayikra has 9 words, and the first verse of Bamidbar has 17 words, and the first verse of Dvarim has 22 words.
And all connected to
that's what the menorah symbolizes, the whole Torah.
Goodness.
So that's
Wow.
amazing.
It's amazing.
It is. Okay. How every little piece fits in. And nothing is
And the 613 mitzvot is correlated also in our body.
That's right. You have 248 mitzvot aseh, which correlate to the 248 limbs in your body, and then we have the 365 veins and arteries that yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
So that's when you have to behold. Tamim tiyem Hashem Elokecha. In order to behold, you have to do all the mitzvot. What? Okay.
The world is amazing.
The world is amazing. Okay, now with the next thing in this portion is about the Leviim, the Levites, that Hashem tells them to prepare the Levites for their service in the Mishkan. And they have to be purified first. So he says to Moshe to sprinkle them with this special water from the Parah Duma. And he has to wash their garments and shave their heads. And they give an offering of a burnt offering, chabad.eilat, which was a bull that they offered, and together with the flour mixed with oil. And then they also brought a korban chatat, a sin offering. Now, being that the Levites were chosen to do the service in the Beit HaMikdash instead of the firstborn, because they sinned, that's why we have Pidyon Abed.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Levite will do the work instead of you. So all the people, all the Jews had to stand around. They were present when the Levites were put into service, and they waved them. They had to wave them like a wave offering, to the sides and up and down. Each one, like 22,000 Levites, who were lifted and waved. And then they would put their hands on the head of the bull that they were sacrificing. And this way the Levites were separated from the rest of Israel. They were sanctified to do the service of the Mishkan. And they even had a separate place. They lived in a separate place. So, again, like I mentioned, that they took over for the people of the Jews that sinned in the golden calf. So originally, the firstborn were meant to be sanctified, and because being that actually they were saved, right, by the plague. The last plague was the killing of the firstborn, and the Jewish boys were saved, and they were supposed to be sanctified. But then they sinned. Now, all what this that was written in this chapter of the Chumash happened the first month of that year, and this what the events of the first chapter of this book happened in the second month. So we learn from here that the Torah is not in chronological order, and obviously Hashem doesn't want to start with something negative, so it wasn't. It didn't. He didn't put it in the beginning. Okay, so. But we know this many instances where things happen. It goes back to what happened before. We'll soon see later again. There's no chronological order in the Torah. It's not a storybook. Okay. So why doesn't it open up with this chapter? Because it's sort of a disgrace. In the 40 years that the Jewish people were in the desert, it's interesting. The Torah tells us about Pesach Sheni. Okay. Now, what happened with Pesach Sheni? The second Passover, there were people who couldn't bring the Passover offering because they were not pure, and there could be
carrying
there were many instances. Either they were carrying Yosef's body, or they were busy burying Nadav Avihu. But then it says that they could have gotten pure in time. So maybe it was because other reasons they were impure. Maybe they had to take care of a mitzvah, they had to bury somebody.
Uh-huh.
So whatever it was, it wasn't their fault, and so they insisted that they want to bring the a Passover offering, and Hashem agreed, and he said, "Okay, you can." Moshe asked Hashem, and he said, "We'll give you a second chance next month." So what was the disgrace of the Jewish people? They only brought that one Passover offering. During the 40 years in the desert, they didn't bring it. They were actually told to do it when they come into Israel. But yet, we learned that if a small group of people complained to Hashem that they want to bring us the sacrifice, and Hashem agreed and gave them permission, imagine if the whole nation would have come and said that, speaking, I know I changed the battery, but it doesn't help. To figure it out. So if the whole people would come and ask, let us bring the Passover sacrifice, maybe God surely he would have allowed them to. The fact that they didn't even ask is a gnai. It's like a disgrace, sort of. So that's why he doesn't start with this portion. Okay? So that's the story of the second Passover. They accepted this void in their relationship with Hashem, which they shouldn't have. Like they should have petitioned. They should have said, "We want an opportunity to serve you, and we want to do the Korban Pesach again." And
they didn't do it from their heart.
Well, Hashem didn't actually ask them to, but if they really wanted the connection, we know that a korban is like, litkarev, they could have asked. If these people were so insistent and Hashem agreed, then if they would have been insistent, Hashem surely would have let them do it. And so anyway, so we, this is 1900 years now, more than 1900 years, over 2000 years, our Passovers are incomplete. We eat matzah, we eat the menorah, the bitter herbs, we drink 4 cups of wine, we ask the 4 questions, but the Passover offering is absent from our Seder table because it says that Hashem has hidden his face from us. He removed the holy temple. So sort of his presence in the physical earth is like, missing. And so basically, maybe we should learn from here that we shouldn't accept it. Just like it says there, it was a disgrace. Maybe now we should say that we refuse to agree to this, and we want the Golas to end. And we're asking Hashem to please manifest himself in our lives and bring back the Holy Temple. And maybe he expects that of us. storm the gates of heaven.
But there's a lot of those who are not observant and are not eager to learn anything.
First of all, the Rebbe says there's no such thing, never give up on a Jew. If he's never learned, maybe he doesn't know, you can always light the you can kindle. He's ready. He's full of oil, pure. All you have to do is kindle the flame, and it'll burn on its own. But the Rebbe said also that we should come and say, why should we be deprived? If Hashem looks at it as a disgrace, why didn't they ask to bring the second the Korban Pesach? Why the 40 years they're in the desert, and here we're 2,000 years in the diaspora? Why aren't we demanding Hashem? We want the Holy Temple. And maybe if we would ask it, really mean it, maybe he would have done it already.
Like Abraham said, when it came to destroying the place and do it just
Sdom.
He started with big number and then he went just for me.
Maybe yeah. Anyway, the thing is that the second Passover teaches us that it's never too late. That there's always a second chance.
Yeah.
So it's not too late. So why wasn't the second Passover commanded directly from the beginning? Just like he gave us the other mitzvahs, he should have given us a mitzvah. Okay, so you have a second chance. Because the second Passover represents the power of tshuva. And it's the power to return, to rectify things in the past, the mistakes that we made.
You have to recognize.
You have to recognize them and transform them. And you can transform them retroactively into merits if you really do the proper tshuva. So this cannot be in the Torah itself. In other words, it's because you're going to say in the Torah, well, if you sin, we're not supposed to sin. But if we do, then we always have a chance to rectify it.
It's the free choice in everyone.
Yeah, so in other words, you can't say that a failure to fulfill a divine command is something positive, right? So the mitzvah of the second Passover can only come as a yearning to return, sort of, like to get closer to the Torah. It's like you're crying out we want to get close to you. We want our attachment to Hashem. And it comes from a place that's like really deep inside. And so it can overcome all the failings and it could transform
it's us asking for rather than
right. It has to come from us.
Yes.
It can't be that Hashem says, okay, so if you sin, the tshuva has to come from a person.
It's from you and
Tashuv to
the
return.
difference between that and God telling us what we need to do.
Right.
Here
So
we
he
ask
told
you
us what
to
we need to
do.
do and we failed. So if you fail, there's always a second chance, but the second chance comes, you have to ask for it. You have to beg for it. So here we are in the diaspora for so many years, and why aren't we? Maybe we should. I'm sure there were people, but I think that the Rebbe was asking us to really mean it, not because you want to get out of your troubles, but because you really want to be close to Hashem, and you want the Holy Temple rebuilt. So it's going to come down, and the Rebbe said, you're gonna. It says that they're going to stop bringing the sacrifices, but in order for the sacrifices, you have to purify the Kohanim. They have to go through a purification, and they need the Kohanim's clothes. So the Rebbe said, don't worry about it. First of all, Aaron and Moshe are going to wake up. And when they wake up, they're going to be pure. And they're going to come ready with the clothes. So there's the special clothes for the Kohanim are going to be ready. So we'll be ready. And then Beis HaMikdash comes down, from heaven. So they'll be ready automatically to do the sacrifices. So we don't have to worry about that.
Sounds like Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus, yeah. So let's hope it happens fast. Anyway, so 2 weeks after the Mishkan was standing, it was erected. It was a full year after they left Mitzrayim, after they left Egypt. And Hashem tells the Jews, tells Moshe to tell them, for the first time to bring the Korban Pesach, and they ate the matzah and without any chametz, no leavened bread. Okay, then we mentioned the Pesach Sheni. Okay, so the Korban Pesach. It's interesting that that not doing Korban Pesach is a correct. It has a spiritual. I don't know how you would say, but correct. There are certain punishments that you're cut off, and like eating what, like Lashon. Well, Lashon Hara is tzara. That's something else, but this is liable to the punishment of correct. Anyway, then we go to the tents and how they were traveling. There was a cloud over the Mishkan, and it means the Shekhinah rested on the Mishkan. And whenever the cloud would move, they knew they had to travel. So they would pack everything up. They would undo, and each one of the families of the Levites we knew what they had to carry. There was the Gershon, Kehat, and Merari. There were 3 families, and each one they had to carry the ark and the table, and the other family carried the curtains and all the curtains, and the other family put the boards in a wagon, and they had to schlep the wagons. So that's how they traveled, and they traveled just like they settled. There was Yehuda went first. There were 4 flags, and each flag had 3 tribes, so that's 12 tribes. So there was Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zvulun in one flag, and they were the first ones to go. So actually, we had the cloud would move, and then Moshe would sound the trumpets. So first of all, at night it was a fire. At night the fire would lead the way, so it lit up the way. During the day was the cloud, and they would wait. They would see the cloud moving, and they would wait for Moshe to blow the trumpets. And there were also different signs there were 2 trumpets Hashem told him to make out of silver. And when he blew one trumpet, it was to either he blew one trumpet, or he blew 2 trumpets, or he made a tkiya and a teruah, different sounds. So either he was calling the Nesiim, or the Skenim, or he was calling all the Jews together, or he was blowing it that they should go, that they should travel. So each one had a different sound. And then when the cloud stopped, they knew they had to settle down, and they again organized themselves, and they would unpack, and put the Mishkan back together again. So there was sometimes they stayed in a place for one day, and sometimes they stayed for years. During the 40 years, there was one place in Kadesh Barnea where they stayed for 19 years in one place.
זה היה אחרי שקיבלו את התורה, קדש ברנע.
כן, ובטח הם 40 בשנה במדבר, שמשה עלה ושבר את הלוחות, he brought down the לוחות. Anyway, so like I said, they would take it apart and put it together, and even if it was just for one day. So first of all, we learn from this that there are stations in our life, and every station that a person finds himself in is very significant. And if he's in a place, in a certain situation, even if it's for just a short time, one day, for whatever short period of time, it seems to him like it's just on the way. You're on your way to some other place, but there's always something in that place or that situation that you have to sanctify, that you have to do. Something that can serve as, like we said, the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting between heaven and earth. This is what the Lubavitcher Rebbe teaches us. Everyone we had 42 masaot in the desert. And the Baal Shem Tov says that every person goes through 42 masaot in his life. Goes through 42 masa is a journey. 42 journeys he has in his life, 42 like stations or whatever, or travels, or yeah. And it doesn't mean it has to be far. It could be like,
And
like
it
this.
doesn't mean it like as a group or people age. It's individual things that happen
Everybody, the individual things that happen, and sometimes it's for a very brief period, and sometimes it's a longer period. But wherever a person finds himself, he knows there's something there that he has to do. And it always reminds me of the story where these women got stuck it wasn't Boston. They went to a convention in America somewhere, and there was a snowstorm, and they came to the airport and they canceled their flights, and these people had to get back to work, and they wrote into the Rebbe that we're stuck at the airport, we're stuck in wherever it is. So the Rebbe said to them, a person is never stuck. If you're there, there's something you have to do. So they started going around and giving out candles, like these, Shabbos candles. Do you like candles? Do you like candles? And they went to the hospital, and they went there, and all of a sudden the place cleared up, and the flights were back on, so they had to, you're never stuck, never ever. Wherever you are, you have a mission, and you have to
remind me
sanctify.
of my life.
That's right. So you're there to lift the candles and help somebody, maybe.
Here's a quote by Leonard Cohen.
Okay.
I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I have ended up where I needed to
Be
be.
very smart. Very nice. So he's right.
There was another saying, you are exactly where you're supposed to be.
That's right. We are where we need it, where we're
That's
needed.
what happened to me
We're needed
when
to
my husband about, the tragedy in my life happened. And I'm listening to a video of a rabbi, and he said, you are exactly
Where?
at the place you need to be. And he prevented me from getting a gift. Because I heard and I saw the picture of my life with my husband, and he was in dementia, and
Wow.
I saw it.
Yeah. Okay. So listen. So the thing is, I mentioned about the chatzotzrot, about those trumpets that he made. He also made them from a single piece of silver, and somehow they were carved out and made into trumpets. These trumpets were also used in wartime when they went to fight the enemy, and it was used on the festivals, on days of rejoicing and festivals. So when he blew on both trumpets, it was to gather everyone. When he blew on one trumpet, it was for the leaders to come. And if there was a sequence of an alarm and a blast, a tkiya and a truah on both trumpets, it was a sign to travel. And who were the ones who blew the trumpets? It was Moshe or the priests afterwards. The priests, the Kohanim did it. Okay, now we mentioned that the first day of Sivan, which is a month and a half after leaving Egypt, right? They come to the Midbar Sinai. So about a year passed since they received the Torah, and they sinned with the golden calf, and they were atoned. And then they put up the Mishkan, and they had the Pesach, and they had the Pesach Sheni. Now it's the 20th of Iyar, in the second year, in the second year after leaving Egypt, and the cloud rises, and they begin their journey. So, like Yehuda, we said Yehuda goes first, and it ended when the clouds settled in Midbar Paran, which is not far, right? And then, so the Torah tells us the order of their travels. And like again, the signs to travel, we said, was the rising of the cloud and the sounding of the trumpets. The first to travel was Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zvulun. That was the first flag. At the same time, Aaron and his sons are covering the vessels and preparing to transport them. The Levites went next. Gershon and Merari, they also dismantled the Mishkan and loaded what they had to onto the wagons. Just the ark and the table were not put in a wagon. We're not allowed to put it in the wagon. They were carried on their shoulders. And then Reuven and Shimon and Gad were the next one to travel. Then the family of Kahat, who was responsible for carrying the vessels. Then was Ephraim, Manasseh, and Binyamin, which was the other flag. And the last was Dan. It says Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. Dan was the biggest tribe, and it says Dan Asefet Kol HaMachanot. They were the last ones. If anybody left anything behind, lost and found, they were the ones who collected anything. They were the Bitachon. Likud HaOref, yeah. Yeah, so that's how they traveled. Now, before they left Har Sinai, Moshe turned to his father-in-law, Yisro. He joined them in the desert, right? And he tells him to continue with him to the land of Israel. But Yisro says that he's going back home. And he went back home, but he left his children with the Jewish people, right? Like it says in Shoftim. And Moshe told him that he should join them, but he because he witnessed the miracles of everything that Hashem, but he went back, and the Torah returns to the story of the journey from Mount Sinai, a 3-day journey that it should have taken 3 days, and Hashem could have finished it in 1 day, but 40 years, okay. And in the ark was the broken tablets, and the ark went before in front of them. Again, the cloud accompanied them, and then Moshe would say, "Kuma Hashem." When we take out the Sefer Torah from the ark, yeah. So every time, like, not only did they see the cloud going, and not only would they hear the trumpets, but they would hear him say, "Kuma Hashem v'yafutzu oivecha v'yanusu misanecha mipanecha." That's what we say when we take out the Sefer Torah. Vehi ben soah ha'aron v'yomer Moshe, Kuma Hashem. That's what we say.
Yeah.
And then when they brought it, when they landed, when they stopped, he would say, Shuva. Yeah. Okay. Now again, the Jews always complain. So again, they complain. What are they going to complain about? Okay. So they said, listen, we want, it's very hard, difficult, the journey. And basically it was the asafsuf, what they say, that those people who joined them, the converts, like I don't know if they converted, but the asafsuf, those people that joined them, that thought they jumped on the bandwagon, they're leaving Egypt, they went with the Erev Rav. So they were looking for a reason to complain. So of course they found, and they said that they had man coming from heaven every day, and it could taste like whatever they wanted.
Right.
But no, they want meat. They're missing the meat. So, and they had herds of flocks, they could have slaughtered the animals to eat, but of course they wanted to complain. So
the problem with the man was that it was one color, and we eat with the eyes.
Yes.
I heard that.
I'll send it to you in English. I have it in English.
Is it in English?
Yeah, I have it in English. I'll send it to you in English. Yeah. So
I was saying that the man had the problem was that we eat with our eyes.
That's right.
And the man had one color, but it wasn't good enough. We
right.
Want what we don't have.
Yeah. You know what they say like this? This is interesting. A person derives pleasure from material things only by comparing what he has to his neighbors.
Yeah.
Oh, so I have it and my neighbors don't, makes them feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't enjoy all the taste that in the world from the man. They derived no pleasure in it, it says, because everyone had it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, but they complain because
That's what
they
Yonatan
forgot
Eibshet
also,
says.
they forgot how hard it was in Egypt. They forgot. I mean, that's the problem with people. Also,
Anyways,
they
yeah,
forget.
Hazakina.
Well, it's like a competition, you know. I have better than you, I have more than you.
Yeah.
Anyway, what happened is, we're almost finished. That Moshe heard these people crying, and he gets angry and he turns to Hashem and he says, "It's too much of a burden. All these tired people on me. Like, what did I give birth to them? Did I conceive these people? Did I give birth to them? Where am I going to get meat to give all these people? I can't carry these people
He
alone."
brought the slab.
He says, I can't do it alone." And he was so spiritual, like, you know, he needed to deal with the meat. So Hashem tells him, gather 70 elders, stand with them near the Ohel Moed, near the tent of the meeting where he says. And Hashem says that they will help you bear the burden of the nation. So we had 70 elders in Egypt. It says that go and gather the elders of Israel together. So these new elders, who were they? They were the officers when Paro told these people to be the officers over the children, over the slaves. He put them to work and he made the Jews hit them. So when they didn't like reach the certain amount of bricks that Paro intended them to reach, so they would beat the officers. And they were beaten, and these officers allowed themselves to be beaten for the people's sake. They didn't want to hand them over to the Egyptians. So they said it's better that we should be beaten and the rest of the people should be safe, shouldn't be harmed. So when Hashem said to Moshe, go gather 70 men, so he says, I don't know who's worthy and who's not worthy. He says, those who were officers over them, those officers who gave themselves over to be beaten over the brick quotas, that they wanted, they will be elevated to this greatness now. That's what the Medrash Tanchuma tells us. Wow. But what Moshe did was, he said, if I take 5 from each tribe, it's not going to be 70. 5 times 12 is times 10 is 50, and you only have another 10 is 60. You're only going to have 60. So if I bring 60 from each, if I bring 6 from each tribe, so there's an extra 2, it's 72. So what am I going to do? He says, if I bring 6 from one tribe and 5 from another, there'll be jealousy. So so he was in a fix. What should he do? So he took 72 ballots and he wrote on 70 of them elder. And 2 of them he left blank. And then lottery. And then he mixed them up and he said, everyone should come and draw their ballot. The one who drew out a ballot that had the word elder on it knew that he's appointed as an elder. Someone who drew out a blank, he knew he was not appointed. And there was like if there was still a ballot left in the whatever the urn or whatever and it said on an elder, so he knew that if he was worthy, he would have been appointed. He would have drawn it. So everything is al pi Hashem. You see, and that's how he got the 70 elders. So yeah. Anyway, Hashem says, as far as their complaint, prepare them. Tomorrow I'm giving them meat. Not for 1 or 2 days, but for the entire month until it becomes repulsive. He's going to give them so much meat until. So Moshe says, 1 minute, they're getting a punishment soon because they sinned. So why are you giving them meat if they're going to die anyway? So Hashem says, they should know that my power is not limited. Their request is going to be fulfilled and their punishment will follow. Mm-hmm. So he gathers the people and the 70 elders, and the Shekhinah rests upon the elders, and they prophesied. They said prophecy. 2 of them continued saying prophecy after everybody stopped. And Yoshua came to Moshe and he said, look at that. These 2 men are saying, and Moshe said, okay, good. There should be more greatness in our nation, He wasn't upset about it. Moshe was the humblest of all men. And the birds started coming and they caught the birds and they slaughtered them and they cooked them and they ate them and they had a lot of meat and a lot of satisfaction. It was chicken, I guess. I don't know. But the seabirds, the birds. No, but they also had it said they had a lot of meat. They had quantities of meat. Maybe the Slav came down.
Yeah, I think it's a bigger kind of a chicken.
Yeah, we once raised Slav.
Yeah.
Anyway, then came the punishment.
They have to fly.
Then it says the meat was still in their teeth, and they hadn't consumed it yet, and Hashem struck them with a plague, and and the place was called Kivrat HaTa'ava. It's the meaning the Kivrat HaTa'ava means the graves of lust. So not only the people that lusted were buried there, but Hashem also buried the lust. Kivrat HaTa'ava. That's another explanation, which, this is where we're going to bury the lust no more. And then they continued traveling to a place called Hatzerot, which was also in the Midbar Paran. And then the last thing that we're going to learn about is about Miriam saying Lashon Hara. She spoke Lashon Hara about her brother because he separated from his wife Tzipporah. What happened was that she found out, like she said, "Oh wow, look at all these people that that were given the special job. Their wives are so lucky." And she said, "Not so lucky. My husband hasn't been with me for since Hashem chose him," or something like that. And Miriam was very upset, and she spoke to her brother Aaron. She said, "We're also holy. We also get Hashem gives us, like, why did he separate from his wife?" She didn't know that Hashem told him to. She spoke Lashon Hara. So Hashem immediately responded, and Hashem tells them that the prophets that you spoke, like most of the Nevi'im get their prophecy in dreams or in visions. But with Moshe, he told him to separate from his wife because he says that he reveals himself to Moshe, first of all, face to face, and always, like, he has to constantly be pure. So it says that when a person is sleeping, so his soul is to a certain degree, the body confines the soul, but here when he's sleeping, he can perceive like this divine essence that more than when he's awake, because the material world blocks him. So anyway, Hashem got angry with them, and she became mitzorah. She got tzorat. We know that the tzorat is the punishment for speaking Lashon Hara. And Aaron was upset about it, and he came to Moshe to pray for her. And Moshe prayed, and he said 5 words, Ana Hashem Refanala, or something like that. Just, please, God, heal her now. 5 words. And he said like this, let her be quarantined outside of the camp for 7 days, and then she could come back. So in other words, that she offended her father in heaven. It's like just like offending him. So everybody waited for her. They all waited for 7 days. She was in isolation, and afterwards they continued traveling. So that's the end of this week's portion.
Is it Parshah?
Behaalotcha. Any question?
I would like to mention something that I heard in a lessons that a group, that when you say a bracha, that